Israel has launched an all-out war against the Hamas, and the conflict on the ground has been on for close to 10 days now. With us to talk about Israel's ground operations, the situation in Gaza, is the Israel ambassador to India, Naor Gilan. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us. Give us a sense of Israel's ground operation so far, and how far is Israel from an invasion of Gaza currently?
Yeah, so we are not there in the ground operation yet, but we are preparing ourselves. I think we have to go back to Saturday a week ago. The attack of this vicious Hamas-ISIS organization reminded us, and we never believed that it will happen, of the viciousness of these people. I mean, they murdered young women, men, elderly, whole families, decapitated, raped. They did everything that we know from ISIS. They raided, while shooting rockets at Israel, they raided more than 30 Jewish communities around Gaza, took over houses. The toll death is over 1,300 people. They kidnapped almost 200, we know already close to 200 people. And I'm speaking of young and old and many foreign nationals, also among the dead and the kidnapped. And this is unprecedented, and it's not something that we can live with anymore. So these periodical skirmishes that they shoot at us, rockets, and we shoot back or stop them with Iron Dome, or maybe we go for a small ground attack. Now, this time I think this is a game changer. I think also the Americans see that as a game changer. And when we start the ground operation, it will have the target of making sure that Hamas will not be able, Hamas-ISIS I should say, will not be able to again attack us in such a way. So we have to take out their capabilities to do that. Very, very complex going to be for all of us, but we'll do that.
Okay, so it's definitely a very complex and grave situation on the ground. Now, Israel does not negotiate with terrorists. More than 200 Israeli hostages are there in Gaza. Hamas has taken them hostage. Do you know the exact location of those hostages? And to what extent will Israel go to rescue them? So, because on one side you cannot negotiate with them, then how do you...
So we are not going to negotiate with terrorists. I understand that there are countries who are trying to create some humanitarian solution for some of the hostages at least. The Prime Minister yesterday met with some of the families of the hostages and told them that he's putting it as a command to the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, to neutralize the capabilities of Hamas, but also to release hostages. We don't know the location. I would be surprised if it's one place. They already threatened to execute if we do certain, ground attacks. They will execute. I would not be surprised to see ISIS kind of executions in order to create psychological warfare and try to split Israel and the people. They are not reluctant to use their own people as human shields. So I don't have any doubt that they are reluctant in any way to use the people they kidnapped as human shields. Of course, it's violation of any international law, wars, crimes against humanity, war crimes, whatever. They fall under any category, both the murder of civilians in their houses as well as kidnapping civilians. So, we are trying to minimize the human casualties in Gaza. So we gave orders to evacuate neighborhoods, to go south to safe places where Israel is not going to attack. We told exactly the locations. Hamas is by force preventing people from doing it. So in the beginning they spoke, now they even shot people, and they put roadblocks in order to prevent people because they need human shields. Without that, they're afraid they will have to confront our military in a direct way where they don't want to.
Right. It is being said that Israel, along with certain neighboring nations, has agreed upon a ceasefire to allow people to exit Gaza via Egypt. Is that correct? Could you give us a sense?
As I said, unfortunately, we are more concerned with the well-being of the humanitarian situation of the people of Gaza than Hamas. I will tell you that in the last few years, Israeli government thought that the tactic with Gaza, in order to create stability and disincentives for attacking Israel, would be to open the borders and let Gazans work in Israel. So tens of thousands of Gazans have been working in Israel in the last few years, bringing good salary, some level of prosperity to Gaza. And we thought, because a huge mistake of ours, that they are like us at the end of their logic. You know, they are ruling, Hamas is ruling Gaza. And if the population is better off, there is a disincentive to worsen the situation. But it was a huge mistake and miscalculation on our side. They don't care about their population. We do care about their population. We want to minimize the numbers. They want to maximize the number. That's why they shoot from mosques, from schools, from hospitals, because they want us to retaliate and kill civilians. This is the only way that there is international pressure on Israel to stop the war. Because they can attack like vicious terrorists, animals, civilians, but when they have a military in front of them, they try to minimize their ability to be killed. And we are much concerned. So yesterday we renewed the water supply to Gaza, and we are ready to discuss also humanitarian in the sense of opening to Egypt for foreign nationals who want to leave Gaza, and maybe also bringing some supplies and medicine, whatever is needed. We think of the people of Gaza, but it's a very vicious situation where we want to eradicate Hamas. They also are, Hamas is under occupation of Hamas, Gaza is under occupation of Hamas in a way. But since Hamas are hiding behind population, we have to go in, and civilian population is involved by force. Right. It's how do you do it in a way that you don't harm? We think all the time of ways of minimizing the damage for civilian population, but it's not easy when this is your opponent is exactly the opposite.
Pastor, Israel has also come under criticism from the UN, for example, for cutting off electricity, water and fuel supplies and food supplies to Gaza. The order to 1.1 million people to evacuate Gaza as soon as possible did not go down well with UN and other countries as well. So what are you doing on the ground in order to address some of those global concerns and make sure that the humanitarian needs are also met?
So let's say that the important humanitarian needs clearly are those of the hostages and hijacked people. So this is the human rights that one should go in first before they go to anyone else, because these people were taken from their houses. You have from a 9-month-old baby, I think the youngest I know of, to a lady which is close to 90. So they took all ages, everyone. We also look at the needs of Gaza. I will tell you that according to international humanitarian law, if the electricity, for example, is used and the fuel is used to fight Israel, and they do, because they use it for vehicles, they use it for the rockets that they fire. They fired at Israel more than 6,000 rockets so far. I have in Israel, my wife went to Israel to be with the rest of the family. I have in Israel 4 kids, my wife 4 kids, and 5 grandchildren. They go to the shelter, depends, shelter or safe room, 3, 4, 5 times a day. My father is 88. My in-laws, who are also quite advanced age, all of them are under fire. So humanitarian is not one way, it's both ways. And again, we are the ones who are trying to minimize the pain for the population of Gaza, because we understand that they themselves are occupied by Hamas. But again, what can we do? There is no, everyone wants everything to be wonderful. But I don't see Hamas people now coming out with their hands up and saying, okay, we don't want you to harm the population or population to be harmed on the way of the war, so we give up. This is not going to happen. Right. They created really a Holocaust-like event, the biggest numbers since Second World War of Jews who were killed in one day. And we have to make sure that they neutralize this ability of theirs to repeat this action. And also, it's important to know, these fundamentalistic Islamic Jihad, Muslim Brotherhood type of organizations, they are the ones who threaten all the moderate, stable regimes in the Middle East. Jordan, Egypt, Gulf countries, all of them, these are the enemies of the moderates and the people who want advance in their area.
So what's your worry in terms of this conflict escalating in the Middle East right now, becoming a bigger, wider conflict with more countries getting involved?
So the biggest problem here is Iran, no doubt. Iran is involved with Hamas for a long time. I don't know about the planning of this event, because of this attack, because the attack was surprised, and I think that now we will go back and look into what we knew and didn't know and who was behind it exactly. But Iran was arming and training and financing Hamas for many, many years. That we know. Iran are now using their other front, which is Hezbollah in Lebanon, in order to try and escalate the northern border of Israel, in order to threaten Israel or detract the attention from Gaza, from Hamas. But it depends on them. If they will try to escalate, we are able to fight on both fronts. The problem is that then Lebanon will be a problem, because our fight is going to be with Lebanon, since Hezbollah is the ruler of Lebanon. It's not that we are going to disconnect between the country that they rule politically also to the country that hosts them, to where they control. It will be one thing. And it will be very painful, also for Israel, but much more so for Lebanon.
Any possibility of launching an offensive against Iran? Is that something that Israel would be considering?
I don't think now, because the aggression are immediate now. We will deal with all aggressors when time comes. Now we are dealing, we don't want a northern front. We don't want to go with Hezbollah, but they are trying to maybe drag us in or take our attention. I don't know what. We'll see how they shoot at us every day now on the border, across the border. They killed a few soldiers, we retaliate, we killed a few soldiers, so there are skirmishes all the time. If it will escalate to a full war, look, even the Americans were bothered by the Iranian behavior and Hezbollah. And for the first time that I remember, at least in the recent years, they sent a carrier fleet, now a second one, to East Mediterranean to send a message to Hezbollah in Iran that they are there to prevent it. Not that we want Americans to fight for us. We never... One of the power points of Israel is the fact that we always fought our wars alone. And this is everyone knows that Israel fights for its life. Small country, but very vicious and strong. And we, when people, we are not war mongers, we don't want war. But when people drag us to war, we know how to fight and defend ourselves.
Ambassador, thank you so much for taking our time to speak to us in times of crisis. We really appreciate your views and our thoughts and prayers with the families who lost their loved ones back home. Thank you so much.